In this video, we're going to take a deep dive on the Samsung QDOLED TV's service menu. And the reason why this is so important to know is because you can access to a level of performance that they are not even selling today. Okay? So of course, Samsung doesn't want you to know this. They don't want you to go into the service menu and get more than what you paid for. Because otherwise, why would you buy next year's TV? This Samsung S95C right now has more brightness than the Samsung S95D out of the box. Of course, you can get the S95D and take it to another level. And we're talking about a massive difference. For example, that Samsung S95D is like 1600 nits. You can get 3000 nits on the service menu. That's insane. Probably 2 years from now, we are not getting a TV, an OLED TV that can do that out of the box. That's incredible. So now, it is normal that the majority of people don't want to take the risk of doing this. And it is totally understandable. It is not for everyone. But one of the biggest reasons why people are afraid to go into the service menu is because you don't know. Okay? And I don't know either. I'm not an expert. But I'm going to share with you what I've learned so far and the results that I've been getting, which are very, very good. As you can see in these examples, this is my LG C1 tone mapping to 2000 nits, and these are actually 2000 nits on my Samsung S95C. And as you can see, the difference is on the highlights. It's not that I just went into the service menu and just make everything super bright and super inaccurate. Of course, this is not going to be reference accurate, but it is not completely off in comparison. The shadow details, the midtones, they are very close enough that it is okay. So we're not talking about a wild trick that you just do and then everything looks wrong. We're talking about picture quality. You get better performance, more brightness, but at the same time, you can keep everything looking normal. Okay, so it's so worth trying, especially if you're thinking of an upgrade. Okay, if you want to enjoy your TV out of the box as it is, go for it. They look fantastic out of the box. My S95C looks fantastic out of the box. You don't have to do this, but if you're thinking, oh, I would like to get the S95D, why would you do that? You can get more brightness than the S95D just by doing some tweaks on the service menu. And even maybe the S95E. So next year's TV might not even get this bright. Out of the box. Of course, if you go to the service menu on those, it's gonna be insane. Unless Samsung decides to remove these options. So that's why I think it is so important to know this. Of course, I already shared a video where I show you step by step what I did on my S95C. I've been tweaking it a little bit, trying new things. But in this video, I'm going to share with you something more general that you can try if you have a different model. And I'm going to share with you an article. It's a post on ABS forums that summarizes everything very, very well. And I'm gonna be reading through that ABS forums post and showing you the settings on the service menu so you can see, at least so far, what we know. There are many, many other things that you can do, of course, but the most important things, I would say, to know, at least to get started, okay? So now let's take a look at this comparison. So the point of this comparison is to show you that it looks correct. It doesn't look like wild, because that's another concern. It's understandable. If you go to the service menu and you get more brightness, now you're going to mess up the factory calibration and everything is going to look wrong. So if things look wrong, why would you even want to use that? You see, brightness is not the end all be all. Because it's brighter, that doesn't mean it is better. Okay? So what I'm showing you here is that actually they look very similar, and the brightness that I am getting is on the highlights. Of course, on the PC, I can tweak the HDR to get the result that I want. So if I want more brightness everywhere, if I want that dynamic tone mapping or active tone mapping effect, I can do that. I can also use active tone mapping, but I don't do that because I think this is a better picture quality. And as you can see here, they are very, very close. Of course, my camera cannot capture the difference, but I can tell you that, of course, on the S95C, this fire right here is fire. Okay, it's so good, and it has more of that saturation. It looks a lot more realistic, of course, than on my LG C1. My LG C1 cannot give me that, redness that fire has. And of course, this lightsaber here that's popping all the time is beautiful. I've been enjoying this game on the S95C. It just looks absolutely incredible all the time. It just looks amazing all the time. Near black, like it doesn't matter where you are on this game, there's always a light that's very bright and colorful. That's the thing with these QD OLEDs. It's not only more brightness, it's brightness with color. So we're talking about 2000 nits. If you get one of these yellow colors, it just looks amazing. Yellow, red, all those colors, they get very, very bright, and it is awesome. So now let me change the camera settings here so I can show you this shot because it is near black. So you can actually see the shadow detail. Okay, take a look at that. So this is to show you that even near black, they are very close. Of course, the S95C is brighter, and that shows everywhere. But the thing is, with this lightsaber on the darkness, because this blue reflection is a rough surface, but it is the light bouncing and making it look blue. Because it is so brighter, it gives you, of course, the impression that it is just brighter overall, but actually the shadow detail in both is very close. And the QD OLED actually is lighting up, and it is looking washed out because the lights are on right now. So yeah, maybe I should turn off the lights and show you that difference. Yeah, it looks so much better now, of course. So let's take a look at this comparison on the darkness. Yeah, it just looks so much better. Definitely the QD OLED looks washed out under lighting conditions, and that doesn't happen that much on my LG C1. The screen coating is so much better. The way the screen looks, it doesn't light up like that. So let's take a look at this comparison now with the lights off. Let's check this out. Big difference in person, especially all these highlights on red. They look absolutely amazing. All these sparkles, all these particle effects on the game that are colorful, they just look incredible. But overall, there's not a huge difference near black and on the midtones. They are very similar. So that tells you that these are not like just something wild and super inaccurate that I am doing to just have the S95C look bright all the time. Of course, when the content is brighter overall, it is gonna be a huge difference in comparison with the C1. But for this kind of examples, you don't see a big difference at all on camera. Of course, in person, yeah, definitely the brightness of those highlights it's a lot higher. And it's not even close. It's not even close. Oh, I forgot I had to adjust the camera settings because I changed it for near black. So let's take a look at this near black example. It's the same shot but without the lightsaber. Let me see how that looks. Yeah, it's too. Yeah, so I increased the gain of the camera to exaggerate that near black difference, so you can see it is actually very close. Of course, the S95C is brighter, but they are not very far away. That's very, very good. Yeah, I'm gonna go over the pictures just in the camera settings so you can see them well. You see this example in person, the difference is huge, but not right now on camera. They look almost the same. So yeah, it is not possible to show the difference. But yeah, trust me when I tell you those red lights on the S95C look absolutely insane. Now in this game we have this robot on the back of the character that's usually changing the colors of the light, and it is so bright. Even on the C1 it's already blowing out. There's no way I can show you this highlight without crushing the entire scene. So that gives you such a great HDR effect because you just have this robot on the back all the time. So especially when you are on the darkness, it looks amazing. The HDR on this game looks absolutely incredible. Of course, you have to fix it. You have to fix the black floor. You have to use reshade to increase the peak brightness because this game doesn't get up to 2000 nits. But that's the usual stuff. I do that with all the games. So, of course, this is not the result you get out of the box, but it is definitely a great showcase for HDR. This game is. Yeah, right here, this just looks amazing. All this fire sparks. But to show you that detail, I have to crush the entire scene. It just looks absolutely incredible on HDR. All these red lights are super bright. Here, these lights, the lightsaber, the fire. It's just amazing. So yeah, I adjusted the camera settings so you can see this. And you can notice the color difference between the S95C and the C1. Of course, everything else looks super dark because right now the shutter speed of the camera is 1/1000. Okay, just so I can show you that detail. It's absolutely amazing. It's a huge difference in the color saturation when we get to those bright highlights. Yeah, this one is a great showcase, but again, very difficult to show you the difference on the recording. My point here again is to show you that they look very close, and when you see that with HDR, what that means is that they are not very far away from accurate. I'm using tone mapping off on my LG C1, 2000 nits, master in peak, max CLL. The max CLL of the content is 2000 nits. And on the S95C, I have the 2000 nits modification on the service menu to get that brightness. And the tone mapping is very close to HGIG. So it is not like dynamic tone mapping or anything like that. It looks very correct to my eyes. It looks amazing. So yeah. Let me go and turn on the lights. Now one final comparison. This is where you can really see the difference on the color brightness. It's incredible. And all that brightness that we get extra with these QDOLEDs is color brightness. It's not like just the whites, it's everything. All the colors look more vibrant. So yeah, this is where you can really see the difference between WRGB and QD-OLEDs. Of course, something like the G4 is gonna be significantly brighter than my LG C1, but still you're not gonna see this level of color vibrancy, color brightness. It's just on another level. It almost looks like my cell phone, my Samsung S23 Ultra screen is very bright. This is not gonna get that high, but especially because of full screen colors. But it's so close. So it gives me the impression of having a huge cell phone screen basically. So yeah, let's go into the article and let's break it down. Okay, so this is the post I'm going to share with you, link in the description of the video. This is a lot of work compiled on this post. It's a great article because it takes a lot of work to test all these settings. So this is a compilation of the work of many people. So it's a great post here on AVS forums. So basically what this post is doing is showing you everything they know one by one. Okay, we go here to this menu and then we go to this menu. They tell you please don't touch anything in some of the menus. Then they tell you what's useful. And we're going to go through the things that I consider to be the most interesting and the most important ones to know. So to access the service menu, again, just link in the description of the video. To access the service menu, we're going to use the Colorcontrol app, which is one of the ways. And also to clear the confusion about Samsung locking you out of the service menu. What happened is that there was a firmware update that prevent the service menu access to with all the options with the remote, not with this one. Of course, you cannot access the service menu with this one, but there is a bigger remote. Then with that one, it no longer works for the S95D or S90D and S95D. I'm not sure about the S95C, but basically it's with the newer firmwares. But if you get the service remote, it still works based on reports from the community. And if you use the Colorcontrol app, no problem. You can access the service menu. There's no way they will ever completely erase the service menu. There has to be the text they need to access the service menu for many reasons. So that's never gonna happen. So we can, if you want to update the firmware, you can go ahead and do it unless you have other concerns. Like for example, I have to do my research to see if Samsung messed up the motion interpolation, because I've seen some comments from people saying that it's looking worse now, and that's something I am enjoying about this Samsung QDOLED, the Game Motion Plus, low latency motion interpolation for gaming. So I don't want to touch that at all. It's working fine for me. So I have to do more research, but service menu access doesn't seem to be a problem at all. So we're going to use this Colorcontrol app, link in the description of the video. All we have to do is connect the TV to Wi-Fi and connect the PC to Wi-Fi too. And then we're going to add here. You're gonna click add, and then you're going to enter any name here, the IP address and the MAC address. Now, how do you get that? Link in the description of the video or an explanation. I'm gonna have an explanation or something to tell you how you can get that information. Of course, you can go to the settings here and get the IP address, but on the Samsung menu, you don't get the MAC address for some reason. So to get the MAC address, you need to do something else. But yeah, make sure you type in those numbers and letters correctly, and it's going to work. That's gonna work, no issues. And if it doesn't work, you close the app, you open it again, you know the drill. It should work eventually. So let's do it. Let's access the service menu. So then we're gonna come here to settings, and under settings we're gonna check the box that says show advanced actions under the expert button. So we click OK, and now we're gonna have here under expert this service menu. And now we're going to enter the factory menu. There is also a hospitality menu, which I don't know what is that good for. I haven't even read anything or even tried it. But the factory menu is the important one. So as you can see here, boom, we are in to the service menu. Let me check the camera settings just to make sure you can see that well. Okay, so here on the service menu, we're going to go one by one, and I'm going to share with you what I know about each of the options. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here to advanced, and we're going to click the volume up for a moment until you see more options popping. Okay, so now let's go one by one. Be very careful if you do not want to reset your TV, because when you go here to option, which is the first one, you click here, and the first thing is this factory reset. If you click here, boom, it's gonna factory reset the TV. Now, what happens when you do that? I already did it. I took the bullet to see what happened. Of course, before doing that, I took screenshots of everything, including the white balance calibration from the factory. Very important. So if I do this factory reset and it wipes out the white balance, then I would be able to at least get that back to the way it was. Otherwise, my TV might look worse than out of the box, and I don't want that. So when you hit factory reset, what happens is you are going to reset your purchase date. That's a problem, okay? So if you did a lot of changes in the service menu and you don't want Samsung to know, or to prevent any issues with the warranty or something like that, maybe you can, in this post, they comment, hey, you can call support and tell them, hey, I want to reset the TV because I want to erase all the apps, and I want it like brand new so I can install everything again because I'm not happy with something that happened, blah, blah, blah. And hopefully they can guide you through getting into the service menu. And if not, then at least you have that phone call as a way of justifying. I don't think this will ever be a problem at all. I mean, if I take this back to Best Buy right now, they are not going to care. They're not going to look into nothing. They're going to see that the TV is in good shape, it turns on, and that's it. I don't think they're going to check anything, but that's just my speculation. If you're concerned about it, if you factory reset, you're going to reset your purchase date. You will also reset the hours of the TV. So when you go here, and we're going to go one by one, but let's go here for a moment under SVC info. You see right now, it says panel display time 8 hours. That's not what I have. I have less than 100 hours, but it's not 8 hours. And you see here, factory entry number, 12 times. So I had a lot more than that, but I did the factory reset. So this will go down to 0, and this panel display time will go down to 0 hours too. Now here, you will still have a trace that you reset. You did a reset because when you go here to factory execution, no, not this one. This factory execution history is like a service menu log. When you go here to factory reset history, you will have something here because you did the service menu, the factory reset on the service menu. And this is like a number or a code that will increase if you keep doing it. So they know that you did the factory reset, but what they're not going to know is everything you change, okay? If you, of course, you reverted back to default. Because all the changes I did to get more brightness, they were still there. Factory white balance settings. They were still there. So if you want everything to go back to normal and you change some stuff, then you would have to, change it back to the way it was. Always take pictures before you change anything. So then they don't have a way to know you change anything, okay? So let's go one by one. So we go here to options. Let's see what we have here available. We have this we have this MRT option. So here on this MRT option, if you have a Samsung S90C or S90D and you want to disable DSE, display stream compression, so you can use the CRU app on the PC to delete that true 4K resolution, 4096 by 2160. So NVIDIA DLDSR and NVIDIA image scaling work with the right factors. You have to disable DSE, and the way you do that is you change this number from 12 to 9. So you would come here and you change it to 9, you go back, you restart, and that's going to disable DSE. Now, I did it on my S95C, and I guess it is the same for the S95D, and it didn't work. It didn't work. I was not able to delete the 4096 by 2160 resolution. I was not able to get NVIDIA DLDSR or image scaling to show up on the NVIDIA control panel. So it didn't do anything for me. Let me know if you have a solution, if you know better, because I haven't been able to figure that out. And it is right now the biggest disappointment I have with this S95C. I didn't know that this was going to be an issue because of that one connect box. I was expecting maybe to have dropouts and other issues due to the one connect box, but I was not expecting this issue, and that's a big problem. And nobody told me that. Most people don't know about this thing, which is unfortunate. Very, very important to be aware of that. Of course, I knew the One Connect box was gonna be a problem. I still got the S95C because I got it for $760. Okay, brand new. So I'm still happy with it, but I would recommend you to get a non-One Connect box Samsung QDOLED. So that's basically the most important setting here, in my opinion. But also here you have this SW model where you can see the model of your TV. If you want to do the change from S90C to S95C and all of that, I think it's there, but check the post if you want to do that. I would recommend you to just get all the brightness with the changes. You can see, I'm going to show you those changes on the post, the values. If you want to try that instead of just doing that minor upgrade from S90C to S95C, it's not a big upgrade. Just get all the brightness. If you're gonna do something, just get it all. That would be that's what I would do. So we have that. Now let's go to control. And here, the most interesting thing is this QD option. Here on this QD option, we can disable the dimming to protect, the ASBL, by turning this screen brightness, screensaver brightness, turn it down to 0. Okay, that's what I did. And there are other two things you can do here. You can try to change this banner brightness to 1. So this is supposedly affecting the brightness of the Tizen interface. I did it and I didn't notice a big difference. So maybe it worked, but it is so bright, it's difficult to notice the difference unless I can see it in real time happening. So let me know what's your experience with this banner brightness. And you're gonna also change this multi-logo brightness. It has to do with the interface too, I'm not sure. They briefly touch on that on this article, but they don't make it very clear. So I'm not sure. Let me know if you know better about those two settings that might be helpful. And here under QD2 option, there's nothing interesting. Maybe this global multi-logo brightness, I don't know what that is, so I'm not gonna touch it. and they don't mention that on this article. They just tell you don't touch anything here under QD2 option, so I guess there's nothing interesting there. The other thing that might be interesting is this EDID. So the EDID is where the TV is storing all the resolution options and the hertz and all of that. Very dangerous. If you make a mistake here, you can break the TV. So I'm not going to touch it, but if you know how, or you figured out how, maybe this is where I can get a solution for my problem. Maybe I can turn this on and I can edit somehow the TV so I can delete that 4096 by 2160 resolution. Even if I cannot get NVIDIA image scaling or DLDSR to work, at least by eliminating that resolution, I'm going to prevent a stretching in some games. I made a short where I show you that actually there are some games where you're going to see a stretching even if you select 3840 by 2160 on the game and on your desktop. And then you have to change to fix the stretching. So basically a car wheel is going to look oval instead of looking rounded. And it's not a big difference, so you might notice that, but it is a problem. So what you have to do is you have to go borderless on the game. But now the problem is, you might think, oh well, problem solved, not an issue. The problem is there are some games where you cannot use native HDR if you are in borderless. So you see the problem? Now you have to go SDR, and that's a no-go. I'm not using SDR for anything on this TV. No way. This TV is just an HDR monster. And why would you do that? So yeah, that's a big problem. So maybe here is the solution. So we go back. Now let's go here. I know nothing about debug. It's like some testing and stuff. I don't know about that, so I didn't search too much about it. So now here under SVC, you can get the info. Where I show you that already. You can see the hours of the TV, the amount of times you enter the service menu, the amount of times you reset, which is a weird number, and yeah. So then let's see what else we have here. Nothing else that I know of here. Nothing else. I don't know anything else, so we go back. This one I don't know anything either. FMS, opt, I don't know anything about that. Here, ADC, WB. This is where your white balance is. So very important that you take a picture of this, just in case. This is your factory white balance adjustment. The default is 128. So supposedly on this post, they tell you if you do a factory reset, all of those numbers are gonna go to 128. And then you're losing your factory calibration. That's not what happened to me. But they describe a factory reset that is different from just pressing factory reset here. So maybe that reset that they're talking about is different. So I don't know why would you do that, because with the one I did, it is accomplishing what they were looking for, which was basically reset everything but this. So yeah, I'm not sure what kind of reset they were talking about, but I'm glad that this didn't change. But take a picture just in case. Don't copy these settings from my S95C on your own panel. This might be different. These numbers might be different. So they basically touch the red and the blue gain, everything at. So that's the high. So out of the 2-point calibration, that's the high of the 2-point calibration. The low, which is the offset, is default. So they only touch the red and the blue. So here you also have this calibration, easy call. Of course, I don't have a color limiter. I don't know how to calibrate, so I'm not gonna be touching this at all. But yeah, there you have that. So now let's go here on advanced. There is nothing. It's just to get all the additional options when you press the volume up button. Let me see how the recording is going. Yeah, we're good. So now here is the important part, the most important thing here. We go to WBMovie, and this is where we are going to adjust the EOTF tracking, so when we release more brightness, we still get it to look correct or as good as possible, okay? So previously I shared with you, of course you have to come here, you turn it on, it by default is off. Make sure that you are on HDR when you access the service menu, okay? And then you change this mode to movie HDR, warm to, and not just leave this default. I tried to change this sub brightness, which is basically going to affect the entire grayscale. So what I was hoping for was to get a little bit more visibility near black, but without losing the perfect blacks. So I was hoping maybe if I just give this sub brightness one click up, maybe I'm going to get more visibility near black, but I still have perfect blacks. No, it didn't happen. So if you increase this one click only, you lose the perfect blacks. So that's good. That's what I am expecting. If I were to increase this and I still have perfect blacks, that means that the TV is definitely crushing blacks out of the box. And that's not happening, so that's good. But yeah, it was not useful for what I wanted. And here we have contrast, which I wouldn't touch either because that's going to affect the whites, how the whites are clipping, okay? But maybe if you want to, for example, if you do all this mod and then you wanted to clip a little bit after, you would reduce this contrast. So for example, if you see, oh, I'm clipping at 1700 and I wanted to clip at 2000, you will lower this contrast only until you get that clipping point. But we have the contrast setting on the regular menu, so I don't think this is necessary. We do not have the brightness setting on the regular menu, which I think is a miss. They should definitely have that option. But yeah, and here, maybe what I'm looking for, which is to change that gamma near black, maybe can be tweaked here, but I wanna search this before I touch it. If you know, let me know. If I can increase the visibility near black just a little bit at the very beginning of the grayscale, just a little bit, let me know how can I do that here, or if there's some other place where I can do that. But then here's the important part. This is where we're going to correct or try to keep it the same as possible. The EOTF tracking. Because we are releasing more brightness, we also have to change this. Otherwise, it is going to look way too bright and we're going to over track the EOTF and everything is going to look blown out. So previously I shared with you these three numbers, the same, and now I changed this one to 190. So I share 185. So this is me testing. This is not like final settings. I wanted to have the clipping point at 2000 nits, and I think it was clipping before that, like at 1850. So by increasing this, you are like getting the EOTF tracking to the darker side, okay? So you are clipping a little bit after, just a little bit after. And if you increase this one, you do the opposite. You get it like brighter. So I'm not sure exactly what the difference is, but they are doing the opposite thing. So if you want to clip after, you would increase this one and reduce this one. But if you reduce this one, then you're gonna look darker than reference. You don't want that. If you're gonna make a mistake, it is better to make a mistake on the brighter side. So it looks brighter than reference. In my opinion, brighter than reference is gonna be better than darker. Because it's not gonna look washed out anyway. But yeah, what I shared before, 175, 185, 175, and 185. So now, these two values, pick W, these two are for game mode, okay? These two are for game mode, and these two are for the other modes. You know, movie mode, filmmaker mode, and all of that. So these two are the important ones. I think, I have to read the article again. Maybe this was for active tone mapping. I'm not sure. Let's take a look at it on the article. The thing is I cannot see the article very well now. Let me see it on my C1 here. So let's go real quick, see if I can find that to confirm that with you. So in this article, they tell you that. Let me pause the video so I can tell you that. Yeah, so here's the summary. So these two, pick W and HM pad pick with plus, these two, they affect the game mode, dynamic, static, eco, and PC. And this one is for a static tone mapping, and this one is for active tone mapping. Now, the reason why I was saying that this one is changing like the overall brightness even when I have a static is because when I change this value in real time, I see a difference right now on the screen, even when I am using a static tone mapping. So I think it does affect a static tone mapping. Now the problem is when you have the service menu open, the screen looks significantly dimmer. So the background screen looks significantly dimmer. And that's a bummer because I cannot test the difference, the real difference of this setting in real time. So for example, if I have, let's open a picture here and let's change this setting. So I'm gonna open this picture here. You see, it looks significantly dimmer. This is an HDR picture, it was a lot brighter. So if I come here from 175 and I increase this value, you see how it gets brighter. It's kind of flickering. If I decrease it, so maybe if I decrease it, you see the difference. This was originally in 100. Well, I don't see it changing now, honestly. Well, the thing is, it's difficult because it's not the real brightness. So maybe it's not having an effect. Because it was flickering, when I lowered it before making the video, I noticed maybe it was getting darker, but maybe it was a placebo effect because it was flickering. But yeah, this one is for active tone mapping then. It doesn't have any effect on a static. But this one does. This one HM pad pick with plus. So for this one, if you increase it, you're definitely clipping less. Basically, you're like getting the EOTF tracking lower. And if you decrease it, you're over tracking the EOTF. So which one is the right point? You have to test. Here on this post, they share 185 for the Samsung S95C, but if you have an S95D or an S95B, this value is gonna be different. So it depends on the QDOLED generation you have. So let's try to reduce this one, see if I can see a difference. Yeah, I don't see a difference. That's a bummer. I wish I could see the difference in real time so I can actually tweak this setting. So I'm just gonna leave it like it was because it was looking perfect to me. So again, I changed this, increased it a little bit, so it's clipping now at 2000. It was clipping like at 1850. I think it is clipping now closer to the 2000 point. But I'm still gonna be playing around with this one. It's the most important one. So now what else we have? Here under picture 2D, there's this PC contrast. I'm gonna be playing around with this one. It looks like a contrast setting for PC only. I'll try to search, see if I can figure out what that does. but that's the important one for me. Then here, the last one, this EPA, this is where you get more brightness, okay? So originally this ANAPIC 1 and 2, these were like 667, if I remember correctly, on my S95C. So the increase is like a lot. But now this is not linear. Like there are some second generation QDOLEDs or first generation that have a similar number. That doesn't mean that they are equally as bright. So yeah, there's a summary of that here on this post. They tell you, let me see if it's this one. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here in this post, they tell you for the S95B, S90C, and S90D, ANAPIC mod is for 1500 nits, first generation only, and third generation does 1500 nits. They tell you to go from 682 to 1023. So you see, for the S95B, it was higher than my S95C. That doesn't mean that that one is brighter. See, so this is like a weird number that they have. But yeah, this is how I max it out on my S95C. Just increase it to 1023. So now, why do we have two values, and why do you have to make them the same, and what if you mismatch them and all of that? I don't know, but maxing them out is the brightest, I think. So I wouldn't care too much about playing around with them to see what they do. Also, without an instrument to measure brightness, I might not be able to tell the difference at all. So yeah, that's it. That's the thing. So here we don't have anything else that I know that's might be interesting. We have here some standard brightness and contrast. Maybe try this. I'm not sure if this brightness is like the sub BC setting. Maybe it is. Maybe I can get that visibility near black without raising the blacks. Here, I'm not sure. I'm going to check that out. So if you know more that you can share about the service menu on this Samsung QDOLEDs, definitely I am all ears. Let me know. So then finally, when you make all the changes, if you did the mod, then reset the TV here. So you come here to this Colorcontrol app. You click next. So next was to go to the advanced settings. And then here, instead of hitting exit, you would go to reboot. So you reboot the TV for the changes to take effect. That's if you did the mod. But if you are just trying the EOTF adjustment that I was playing around with, you can just exit and that will be fine. You don't have to reboot the TV. So I would just hit exit here, and boom, you get a white screen. Be careful with that white screen when you release all the brightness. I would recommend you to use BFI, so you reduce the likelihood of getting a dead pixel. Okay, that would be my recommendation. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions, and if you have any questions.